Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. On a November day in 2025, the United States Supreme Court delivered a decision that reverberated across the nation. The case was not about traditional presidential powers, but a personal, legal battle between former President Donald Trump and writer E. Jean Carroll. This verdict closed a years-long saga that had divided the country and tested the boundaries of accountability for those in power. The Supreme Court's ruling addressed whether a former president could be held personally responsible for actions before taking office. The legal arguments were complex, touching on evidence, judicial discretion, and the credibility of testimony. The outcome would set a precedent for future cases involving public figures and allegations of misconduct. As the decision broke, it was clear this was a landmark moment. The justices examined the trial judge's decisions, the testimony of other accusers, and the infamous Access Hollywood tape. Their analysis provided a definitive answer to questions that had swirled for years. For some, the verdict was vindication. For others, a political injustice. But for all, it was a powerful statement from the nation's highest court. The ruling was detailed and decisive, addressing each key argument raised by Trump's legal team. It was a moment that defined the boundaries of power and accountability in America. The Supreme Court's decision closed one chapter and opened another in the ongoing debate over justice and truth. The nation watched as the highest court delivered its final word. The story began in the mid-1990s, inside Manhattan's Bergdorf Goodman department store. E. Jean Carroll, a prominent writer, claimed a chance encounter with Donald Trump turned traumatic in a dressing room. For decades, Carroll kept the alleged assault secret. In 2019, she published a book revealing her story, igniting national debate. Trump, then president, issued vehement denials, dismissing her claims and attacking her credibility. Carroll responded by suing Trump for defamation, arguing his statements damaged her reputation. The case raised questions about whether a sitting president could be sued in state court. Years of legal wrangling followed, but the core remained: Carroll's accusation and Trump's public denials. The case gained momentum with New York's Adult Survivors Act, allowing survivors to file civil lawsuits regardless of when the abuse occurred. Carroll filed a second lawsuit in 2022, this time for both battery and defamation. This led to the first jury trial in 2023, bringing the long-held secret into the courtroom. The legal battle became a national spectacle, with each side fiercely defending their version of events. Carroll's courage in coming forward inspired many, while Trump's denials fueled his supporters. The stage was set for a direct legal confrontation over what happened in that dressing room. The trial would test the limits of justice for survivors and the powerful alike. The nation braced for a verdict that would echo far beyond the courtroom. The truth, once hidden, was now at the center of a historic legal showdown. At the heart of the drama stood two unyielding figures: Donald Trump, the former president, and E. Jean Carroll, the determined writer. Trump's legal team called the case a politically motivated attack, denying all allegations and pointing to a lack of physical evidence. Carroll, poised and resolute, sought to reclaim her name and hold Trump accountable. Her attorney, Roberta Kaplan, built a case around corroborating Carroll's account and highlighting Trump's public behavior. Judge Lewis Kaplan presided, making key rulings that shaped the trial. He allowed testimony from two other women who accused Trump of sexual misconduct and admitted the Access Hollywood tape as evidence. Trump's lawyers argued these decisions unfairly prejudiced the jury. Carroll's team presented witnesses who said she confided in them after the alleged assault. The courtroom became a battleground of competing narratives. The jury faced a stark choice: whose story to believe. The trial was about more than two individuals. It was about the credibility of survivors and the accountability of the powerful. The evidence, testimony, and judges' rulings would all come under scrutiny in the appeals that followed. The outcome would hinge on the jury's assessment of truth. The stakes could not have been higher for either side. The nation watched as the verdict approached. In May 2023, a federal jury found Donald Trump liable for sexually abusing and defaming E. Jean Carroll. The jury awarded Carroll $5 million in damages, validating her account and rejecting Trump's denials. Trump's legal team immediately appealed, challenging the verdict and the judge's evidentiary rulings. The case moved to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, where Trump's lawyers argued that testimony from other accusers and the Access Hollywood tape unfairly influenced the jury. The appeals court disagreed, affirming the verdict and Judge Kaplan's decisions. Meanwhile, a second jury in early 2025 ordered Trump to pay Carroll an additional $83.3 million for earlier defamatory statements. Trump's team again appealed, claiming the award was excessive and that presidential immunity should apply. The appeals court upheld the judgment, noting Trump's team had waived the immunity defense. The courts described the damages as reasonable, given the facts. With lower courts consistently ruling for Carroll, Trump's only option was the Supreme Court. The legal battle had become a test of the justice system's ability to hold the powerful accountable. Each verdict reinforced the message that no one is above the law. The stakes grew with each appeal, drawing national attention. The Supreme Court would now decide the final outcome. The nation awaited the highest court's judgment. Trump's legal team made a final appeal to the Supreme Court, seeking to overturn the $5 million verdict. They argued the trial was unfair, citing the admission of testimony from other accusers and the Access Hollywood tape as prejudicial. Trump's lawyers insisted Carroll's claim lacked physical evidence and was motivated by politics and personal gain. They contended the jury should have considered only Carroll's story, not unrelated allegations or past statements. The appeal painted the case as a politically driven attack, urging the justices to correct what they called a grave injustice. The Supreme Court faced the question, had the trial judge overstepped, or had justice been served? The nation watched as the highest court weighed the arguments. The outcome would set a precedent for future cases involving public figures and allegations of misconduct. The Supreme Court's decision was clear and comprehensive. The justices affirmed the lower court's rulings, ending Trump's legal challenges in the Carroll case. The opinion emphasized judicial discretion, finding Judge Kaplan acted within his authority on evidence and testimony. The court ruled that testimony from other accusers and the Access Hollywood tape were properly admitted, relevant to establishing a pattern of behavior. The justices stressed that appellate courts do not replace the jury's judgment with their own. The verdict was a powerful endorsement of the judicial process and the jury system. The Supreme Court declared the outcome was the result of a fair trial, not political bias. The decision sent a message even the most powerful are accountable under the law. The Supreme Court's decision brought a powerful conclusion to the saga. For Carroll, it was vindication and a landmark for survivors of sexual assault. For Trump, it was a significant legal and personal blow, cementing the jury's finding in the legal record. The ruling set a precedent for future civil cases involving sexual misconduct, strengthening the ability of plaintiffs to use pattern evidence. The case reshaped the national conversation about power and accountability. It showed that private citizens can challenge even former presidents and win. The verdict stands as a testament that no one is above the law. The scales of justice, tested by immense power, were found to be in balance.